Hello, it is the 25th of January 2024, and I just finished on Her Majesty's Secret Service by Ian Fleming. And this was a very good book. It was solid. It's the 11th book, and it was the 6th film. And it was a film that starred, I think it was George Lazenby, and it was the only one that he was in. Apparently, this is very faithful in the movie to the book. They're very similar. And I went back and looked at my movie reviews. As I'm reading all of these in order, you may or may not know, so I only have 3 left. Very solid. I've been ranking them so that at the end I can do an overall ranking in order. This one's very hard to place, and I'm going to go into detail and tell you why. Back to the movie, though. I rated the movie a 3-star out of 5. On Netflix originally, I saw it like 11 years ago or something like that, when I watched the whole series of Bond movies in a row. And this book is clearly better than a 3-star movie. But depending on what you want out of a James Bond book is what's going to determine how well or not as well you review this book yourself. So I will tell you this book is pretty serious. There's not a lot of joking around in this book. It feels real, right? It's more a spy novel that's serious, not trying to be dorky. The book prior to this was Thunderball, and the bad guy in that book, it was pretty corny. Thunderball was pretty corny. As a matter of fact, I'll look and see where I ranked. Thunderball, I ranked only 4 from the bottom of the list, which isn't horrible. Diamonds Forever, I ranked below Thunderball. That book I just didn't like. So Diamonds Are Forever, For Your Eyes Only, and The Spy Who Loved Me are the 3 books so far out of 11 that I haven't liked. And I would say Thunderball was pretty okay, but it was kind of dorky. But the bad guy Blofeld that didn't get caught in Thunderball, Bond is looking for in this book. And he goes into great detail to let you know how frustrated he is with his job. And I'm going to give you some stuff that you could consider a spoiler right now. So I'm going to try to keep it spoiler light because I don't want to give away the story if you want to read this book, because it's a good book. But he doesn't want to be a spy anymore. He wants to have a normal life. And he hooks up with the girl that's in there, Tracy, and wants to get married and all these things. And so if you watch all the Spider-Man movies, and Spider-Man doesn't want to have relations because he knows all the criminals will be after his relations, right? It's kind of the same principle, and you can kind of see how that's going to play out. In that regard, it's very similar to Casino Royale. And if you haven't read that book, the movie ending of Casino Royale is different but similar. But if you have read Casino Royale book, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about. The end of the end of the book is kind of sad. I can't tell you more than that. It is, like I said, spoiler light. But the basic premise of this is he doesn't want to look for the Blofeld guy anymore. He's frustrated. He can't find him. He's doing all he can to find him. There's a long section in here about not DNA, because that was, this was written a long time ago. That stuff didn't exist yet, but family histories. So he's going into Bond family history and the bad guy's family history. And a lot of that is kind of interesting if you are interested in genealogy. If not, that section might be boring for you. When it gets into the establishment of where Blofeld is, there's a good, exciting escape scene that's kind of pointed out on the cover of the book. That was pretty action-packed, very similar to a James Bond scene in a movie. And there was another involving, let's see, is it on this cover? No. Perhaps on the back, no. A bobsled incident that was pretty exciting. And that was more at the beginning of the book. Let's see what else. There was a scene with a plane trying to get over the border. It was pretty exciting, kind of going back and forth with air control. But the basic premise was biological weapons and going to use them against some country or whatever, and his job is to try to stop that and figure out who Blofeld is and where he's at and all those things. But the general feel of it, besides being realistic and serious, is sad and just the feeling that he wants to not be a spy anymore. So it takes the fun out of it if you want a goofy kind of Bond book. And I'm finding as I go along, which I'm surprised, that I think I'm starting to like the goofy Bond books better than the more realistic ones. It's hard to say because I've got them kind of feathered around. I'm going to give you my ranking right now so far. Moonraker was my absolute favorite. And that was pretty realistic and actually scary realistic. And then Goldfinger I ranked second, which that is pretty much ridiculous, but it had all kinds of exciting things in it. And then the next one, From Russia with Love, was pretty serious and realistic. And that was my third ranked. And then Live and Let Die. I've got this pattern of realistic to goofy. Live and Let Die was more goofy again. And then I placed this one fifth behind that. So it, again, is serious, but it is right next to Casino Royale. And the only reason I think this one's better than Casino Royale is they both had the same kind of feeling, but this book was longer. There was more content. There was more, of course, the one good action scene. It just felt more like a fully fleshed out novel than Casino Royale, which is very short. And then past that point, like I said, from Dr. No down, Dr. No's okay. But from Thunderball, Diamonds Are Forever, For Your Eyes Only, which was short stories, and then Spy Who Loved Me, which was ridiculous. That's the latter, not as good half. So I would place this, I would say, in the upper tier of the books, probably like a 4 out of 5 stars. So it's better than the movie, I think, even though I guess the movie was pretty faithful to the book. But I would say this is like in the 75 percentile range, something like that. The only thing that brings it down for me is it's almost too sad and depressing, which I don't really dig that. So if you like to identify with Bond as a human character that's tiring of being a spy and trying to have a normal life, then you might like this better. But if you want him to just go out and have adventures and things, you might not like it as much. And that's where I'm kind of leaning.